Cameroon and Nigerian authorities have agreed to jointly fight terrorism and armed separatists in both countries. Some of the two nations' top security and government officials announced the deal during the 8th session of the Cameroon-Nigeria Transborder Security Meeting in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. The meeting held after the indigenous people of Biafra, a group that wants a breakaway state in southeast Nigeria, is uniting with the Amazonian Defense Forces, a Cameroon separatist group. How far can Nigeria and Cameroon fight Biafra and Amazonian secessionists? We shall discuss that right ahead. And also, how can CONAC fight corruption in schools and in competitive entrance examinations? To discuss this, we are Samson Webster, senior journalist and specialist in peace journalism. Samson, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Edwin.
Okay. We have by Samson Webster Muel Hilary. He's a teacher and principal of Leadership Anglo-Saxon College in Yaoundé, Febe. Welcome to the program, sir.
It is my pleasure.
By me, Miranda Atam is a journalist, a senior support staff at CONAC. Welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you, Muki.
And of course, Tenen Lucas, who is journalist and publisher of the Reporter newspaper. Tenen, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Muki.
Later on, we shall be receiving here Kinang Derrick, who is conflict resolution researcher at the University of Boya, to talk about the Cameroon-Nigeria security situation. Before we get into the debate, let's have Emanuela Vimnui with what newspapers reported during the week. And I am Moki, Edwin Kinzeka. I'll be right back.
For the umpteenth time, blood spews in the northwest, southwest regions, and the press becomes awash with stories to this effect. There is murder in the church in the Eden, as church service goes bloody in the Herald Tribune with a faithful killed and pastor wounded. A Black Sunday in Bali in the Guardian Post as bullets reportedly fired at random outside Peace in Tanfuan kills a woman and injures pastor on the arm inside the church. And as worshipping transforms into wailing in Bali in the Astudink, the Scoop decries the mayhem that led to the death of Christian and injury of pastor. A weekend of blood and fire in the northwest is what the Sun headlines on as Bali bleeds and Oku in flames. The Horizon writes a woman killed and pastor shot as army opens fire on church. And in no time, Cameroon Tribune debunks the accusation against defense forces, publishing the press release from the Ministry of Defense. Then military blames the Bali incident on separatist fighters in Cameroon Insider. Widespread condemnation of the shooting then pours in the Reporter, with UK condemning fresh violence in Northwest while calling for an investigation in the Voice Weekender. The Guardian Post questions shouldn't government re-engage talks with jailed Ambazonian leaders, especially as other military Amba confrontations in Boya Kumbo leave children dead and others wounded in the Post newspaper, thus watering down the crusade for peace engaged in by traditional rulers of the Northwest in Cameroon Tribune. At a time, Cameroon-Nigeria engages to fight against terrorism in Cameroon Tribune, the Guardian Post says both countries are strategizing to wipe out secessionists and Boko Haram, with Buhari stating that Nigeria will never serve as base for terrorists to destabilize Cameroon in the Reporter. A firm commitment echoed in Newswatch as Buhari commits to barring secessionists from using Nigeria as staging ground, and as new blueprints to tackle emerging threats on Cameroon-Nigeria transborder security are set in Cameroon Insider. Cameroon and Nigeria need security tactics in the Voice Weekender. Municipal Updates then predicts end time for secessionists and terrorists. And immediately a notorious Amber arms dealer is arrested in Nigeria in the Guardian Post. Perhaps sending Biafran leak that describes Cameroon-Nigeria security commitment as a joke in the Post Weekender to have a rethink. The University of Boya then gets a new registrar in the Eden. Cameroon Insider says it is the first ever UB alumna to be appointed registrar. During a period, heads are likely to roll in the institution over alleged trading of marks In the Guardian Post, Anglophones then reject UB annex in Akonolinga in the horizon, with Southwest chiefs warning against the creation of an annex of the institution in Akonolinga. In the Post, the Astute Inc. quotes Dr. Nick Nwanyama on the creation of UB annex in Akonolinga, who thinks it is like auctioning the institution. And as Southwest chiefs continue to reject move to create UB annex in Francophone region in the Guardian Post, Cameroon Tribune brings to the fore preparations for back to school, which have reached fever pitch. Just time then for Asheri Kilo to mobilize Bui elite to assist 600 IDP peoples in Bafoussam in the horizon as she leads campaign to boost effective school resumption in the Guardian Post. CONAC then weighs in to task education stakeholders to fight against corruption. In the Post, Cameroon Tribune rounds off the back-to-school page with information that schools will resume on September 6th. The new biometric passport production center flagged off in Cameroon Insider as Cameroon Tribune says it is time for modernization. The Minister of State Secretary General at the Presidency, Ngongo, then hints on speedy production of digital ID cards in the Guardian Post before stating that securing ID cards and birth certificates will be next in the horizon. Let's now end our press review with a story on the Post newspaper where a group of lawyers who are members of the Cameroon Bar Association have signed a petition calling on the president of the bar, Barrister Evaristus Mofo, to convene an elective General Assembly in the month of November, as is provided for by the internal regulation of the bar. The petition is issued in Douala, calling for a possible extraordinary General Assembly so as to avoid what the paper tax surprises. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thanks, Emanuela. Now, lady, gentlemen, you just followed what the newspaper reported. Let me start with you, Miranda. Maybe you are attracted particularly by something there.
Yes, particularly it's saddening, it's heart-wrenching. The story is about Bali. We know that when we run to the church. When we run to hospitals. And to hear that there was blood once more again spilling over in the church, it's so heart-wrenching. And to the thousands of families, the mourners, everyone, we say our heartfelt condolences. It's a disheartening situation.
While the military is blaming the Ambazonan Defense Forces and they're blaming the military, we should insist here that killing, no matter where it comes from, is not good. Not so, Miranda. Definitely.
Killing, no matter who, is somebody's relative, is someone's affectionate, loved one or whatever. So killing is to be condemned.
Tenant Lucas?
Yeah, I will not come back to the Bali story because it's a story that has actually affected me. So I don't want to come back to it. But what caught my attention in the press was the issue of trading of marks in the University of Buea. You see, the University of Buea for quite some time has been a majoring rod of Anglo-Saxon education in Cameroon since we introduced it here. But to hear that teachers and students have been trading marks as some sort of make me to feel that we are already going down the drain, that the university is going down the drain. And I think since it is being investigated, we think that the culprits will be punished and that might stem or nip the evil in the bud.
Have you also listened to what Emanuela reviewed there?
Yeah, obviously the news was really, the week rather was pregnant with a lot of news. I don't really know which of them captured my attention the most, but I think that the incident in Bali, which Miranda was talking about a while ago, is so saddening. My spirit was dampened by that because when I was growing up, we used to run to the church for security in times of intertribal wars. So because the belligerents, none of them could dare trespass the house of God. It was a no-go zone. Unfortunately, today, people don't seem to have even an iota of respect for the Most High. Such an act was so irreverent that my spirit was dampened. Yeah, it was dampened. And I really wonder what has become of human beings. Because I know that Lucifer himself and his agents have respect for God, they fear God. But an act like that is a slap on the face of God.
It's not the first time. We've had stories of chalices stolen in the church ciborium, and I mean, those things are
yes, what has happened is just a tip of an iceberg. It's just a tip of an iceberg. We've had a situation of a U.S. missionary who was killed in Cameroon, and we've had many other similar scenarios. So it has only come to bring back bad memories or sad memories of how human beings have gone so irreverent. I mean, reverence is about respect, laudable respect for God.
Thank you.
So it's regrettable and lamentable.
Edwin, I think the story about the shooting in Bali caught my attention because that incident opened yet another chapter in the bloody conflict in the Northwest and Southwest. This far, I think the civilians have always been the casualties. The combatants, I think on both sides, we know that when you are holding a gun fighting, there's a probability that you can either be killed or you kill somebody. But for innocent civilians to be caught in this kind of crossfire, I think it's very pathetic. And happening again to a man of, in the church, we know that we've already lost quite a number of priests, reverend pastors, reverend father. You remember the Kenyan who was shot somewhere in the Southwest. So it's a very pathetic chapter, and our prayer is that we should quickly turn over this sad page.
I want to indicate that you are a journalist, a senior journalist, and you're also a specialist in peace journalism. But I want also to say, people say that I miss you on Cameroon Calling. that voice again. Am I lying?
I enjoyed him a lot on Cameroon Calling. I miss him more than anyone else.
I think my time was up. I had to move on to do something else.
Thank you, Samson.
A bitter pill for us to swallow.
Thank you. Now let's move to our first topic today. Is on corruption. Corruption. Can Konak stop the hydra at school? Because within the past few weeks, the chair of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, Reverend Dr. Jordan Maisigams, has been moving, crisscrossing the country to insist that there should be corruption-free schools now. How far can they go? But before we get to the official of Konak who is here, I want to start with you. They're talking about schools here, Mbuel, Hilary. How does it manifest itself, corruption at level of school?
Well, corruption in school is quite common. It's quite visible in school. First of all, especially in government schools, we have situations of recalcitrant students who are dismissed on paper, but at the end we find them in school. Let me just give an example, which I would prefer to keep the name of the school anonymous for the sake of ethics. A student was caught red-handed, making a female student, Form 4 female student, making love with another female student, lesbianism. And we had a meeting and unanimously agreed that that student would be dismissed. But to my greatest dismay, the student was still found in school the following year. So it's just one out of several.
Is it because
others.
the student paid her?
Of course. It's a child of one of the big fishes in the country, you know. So, the big fishes will always come. And in fact, there is no law for those who own the country. They can do and undo. So the child was obviously a daughter of a powerful official, so to speak, in the country. And we're toothless bulldogs. We can only talk and condemn.
Let's go to a wider perspective with Samson Websey. How is the situation like? I mean, you've been following up complaints from parents. You yourself may have been seeing what is happening along in schools.
I think corruption in schools has taken a very disturbing twist of late. It has taken many forms. You have trafficking in marks. You have trafficking in all types of things that you can imagine. So the morality in the school milieu is really down. Now, who is to blame? Like he was saying, we have a situation where the teachers and the school authorities who are supposed to discipline the students and then keep them busy, hardworking, so that they succeed in their exams. But we also have the parents who are more or less failing in their responsibilities in terms of influence peddling. Nowadays, a teacher can no longer punish a child in school. If he does, in a few minutes you will see parents, they will come on the school campus and then the teacher will have it hot. So those are some of the situations that we have, and then it encourages students to be lazy, and then when exams are coming, they are caught. The only thing for them to do is either to try to cheat in one way or the other. It can be impersonation, it can be trying to get leaked examination questions, or even to go as far as buying marks in terms of cash, or buying marks for some other thing. I mean, we've heard about sexually transmitted marks in schools, Moki.
Okay. Tenant Lucas, some amounts are even, people seem to be very much aware of amounts that are used to buy admissions in schools, that are opening, that people say 50,000 for the 100,000 for this. I don't know if you are informed, or you get it almost like...
I'm quite informed because, you see, as journalists, at times we are exposed to these things. You go to school to enroll your child, the principal or the boss doesn't know that you're a journalist, and then they start telling you funny stories, and when you try to find out, you realize that it is because he wants you to bribe your way through. So we are exposed to these things. But what I want to say is that the morality in school has gone down, as our brother Samson was saying. And I remember when one of our revered Peace Crusader, Yantumfo Nikohale, used to say that if you have money, you have a PhD, and your morals are low, it means you have nothing. And he said we should reintroduce religious knowledge in primary schools, because that is the root cause. Most of these children grow up, or their parents grow up, through some schools that did not have any morals. So today they are just replicating it. Society is dynamic, but at times the dynamism of society is negative. We've seen how even this mobile money issue, technology has come to turn corruption into something else, because a teacher and a student might not even talk, but they exchange numbers and they do transactions that are corrupt practices. And we talk about sexually transmissible marks. A teacher, because I know my daughter is attending school, in that school, the boss has a number of all the parents, has a number of all the children. You don't even know the communication between the principal and the children. At the end of the day, the child might fail, but because it was communicating with the principal or the boss or the class teacher, they change the marks. And you are saying you think your child is doing well, your child is not doing well. And what is the repercussion? The repercussion in society, because somebody will leave school without actually going through the training, it will equally impact society negatively. Okay. Because
we shall get to the consequences of this afterwards. Miranda Atam, your body, CONAC, has launched this campaign, this fight against corruption at schools. What really motivated you to launch a fight, and how far are you going?
Moki, you've heard from all of them. Corruption is real. In the school milieu, it is real. And so at the beginning of this school year, CONAC chair and the other authorities thought that it is important that we get to the root cause and then try to fight it from the base. We are talking about, Hilary was talking about secondary school and what is happening there. This 2021-2022 Back to School, a corruption-free campaign targets secondary schools, public schools especially. We've gone there with enough material to sensitize administrators, to sensitize even students and parents who come to register, to tell them corruption is a bad thing, but you can fight it. Integrity is the better way out. Now, we went as far as even posting various offenses that concern schools and the sanctions that accompany them.
Before you get to that, I want to know, how does it manifest itself? If you go to fight corruption, so it means that you have facts, figures, and you have some examples you may want to share with us.
Yes, there are facts, there are figures, and a lot of investigations has gone on in when it concerns corruption in schools. It's not just, we didn't just get up to go fight corruption in schools. But then what is happening? At the end of the day, when all of the reports come in, investigations are carried out. The issue, sanction is very, very important. But then before getting to sanctions, how do we tackle what is present?
Can you give us examples of how this corruption is done at school?
Is done at school. He said it all. You have trading of marks. They call to report on a CONAC's hot-free line, the toll-free number, 1517. This is happening in this school. You have PTA levies. Parents are asked to pay exorbitant sums. You have, in all domains, some people will call you, teachers want marks for this, and they call you, but CONAC has to investigate. And they go to the field, they carry out their investigations, and then the reports are published in our annual reports. You have a whole section on education and other things that come in to accompany or to expose the things that are happening.
Okay, now, the question of the day, Mr. Samson Websey, can CONAC really stop this hydra in school? Do they have the means? Do they have the resources? Do they have the technical capacity to stop corruption at school?
I think it will be an illusion for us to think that CONAC alone can do the work. We, at our different levels, we must also contribute by trying to denounce some of these practices. I know that when we talk about the institutions that are supposed to fight corruption in Cameroon, we have quite a number of them. We have ANIF, we have the audit bench of the Supreme Court. Those are the ones in charge of government departments. But I think when we are talking about corruption, it is a responsibility of each and every one. I think of late we have seen a phenomenon whereby people capture some of those cases of corruption on their phones, and then when they go viral, the judiciary picks on those issues. I think we can also use ICTs to contribute our own quota to fighting corruption in Cameroon. She just talked about the case of PTA levies. I think that is another fertile area of corruption in most schools, not only in government schools. In government schools, there are statutory amounts that are supposed to be paid for registration. But when it comes to PTA levies, it's more or less free. That is why you have each and every school, they will decide on the amount. And as if that is not enough, within the year, the students are asked, you have to pay an additional amount for printing of extra classes, printing of exam questions. So those are some of the things that are actually going on in the school milieu, which needs that we don't entirely rely on CONAC. We also see how we can help put those things in the public, and ICTs are helping quite much in that direction.
Boys, are you happy with what CONAC is doing? Can they really stop this? Can they fight this? Are they really fighting it?
The CONAC to me is really missing in action. Maybe I'm not informed about the activities. Well, I'm still to be informed. But to the best of my knowledge, CONAC is missing in action. Perhaps they are not empowered because I believe that the government has to empower them financially, empower them, technically, so that they will be able to effectively combat corruption. Financially, what am I talking about? If a CONAC official goes to a ministry and discovers that there's a case of corruption, then what if the minister calls the official behind and then gives a huge sum of money? If you are poor, you'll be vulnerable. You are bound to accept. So they need to be financially empowered so that they will not see the need for that. They need to be morally upright too, because a blind man cannot be leading a blind man. So if CONAC officials themselves are corrupt, what are they going to be talking about? It will be mere nonsense.
The examples we've had here so far concern mostly the government schools. Where would you want to see CONAC? In lay private schools and in
well,
schools?
The corruption is visible in both private and government schools. I said government schools because they are much more visible in government schools. You and I will agree that, in fact, everybody, even a class 1 child knows that Form 1 in government schools is a principal's class. You understand what I'm talking about?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Principal's class, in the sense that you have some money to give the principal before your child will be admitted in Form 1. Those things are not done openly, but everybody knows about it.
So the common entrance and the interviews are for nothing?
It's just a formality. It's just a formality. Just a formality. No matter how well you perform, you have to give the principal something. That is a fact. We may say whatever, but the facts are stubborn.
Miranda, he's raising an issue there of you being morally upright and financially stable to be able to fight this. And he said you may go to investigate somebody, and what he offers you is more than what you take home from CONAC. And normally you would.
Well, he was talking about the minister and his staff, not actually CONAC workers. But I'll tell you that when it comes to CONAC staff, to the best of my knowledge, we all have to undergo an integrity test before we are employed in CONAC. And so the chances are really slim if the temptation should come up, which I doubt. But when it comes to CONAC and its staff, there's an integrity test, and it's something that is updated regularly. It's done regularly. From time to time, you're subjected to tests. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who is going to test you, but you are subjected to that test. It could be your brother, your sister, or some other person from an environment close to you. So
we've had the Reverend Dr. Masika, I'm saying it, that there's a lot of temptation, and that he too has been tempted once. If you go to investigate somebody, 3, 4, 5, 20 billion, that's enough money that you can say, I can leave this thing and go me back home.
Okay,
I'm just trying to say that there may be some temptation.
I know, and I'm going to tell you, but then what got you into CONAC in the first place? It's wanting to fight corruption. It's true there are temptations, but then what is the cause? What is it that got you there? What is it you want to do? What is the purpose of your life? because then it becomes like you sacrifice your life. We have staff who are being threatened on a daily basis because of what they do. Do you want to take millions or billions and still be subject to death or death threats from other people? No. I think for most of the people there, it has become a cause that we hold dear at heart, and we want to live and make Cameroon a better place.
Now, Samson Webs is saying that it is not a duty for CONAC alone. So what should the society, the communities be doing, Lieutenant Lucas?
Let me first of all come to CONAC, and when I come back to CONAC, I will talk about the PTA fee that Samson talked about. You see, the PTA fee has brought some bicephism in schools between the principal and the PTA teacher. They say PTA chairman, because the PTA is a parent-teacher association. It's an association which is being sanctioned by the law of 1990, law number 053 of 1990, that creates association. But when they are now in school, and immediately you pay your PTA fee, it becomes public funds. You know, like that. That is how it is. But I don't see any other law, I've tried to look for any other legislation that gives the PTA president the right to actually interfere in the management of schools. I've not seen it. And more often than not, one time it was Bali that the PTA, the principal embezzled PTA fee, 3 million. The other time was Obala, 10 million that CONAC had to denounce them. But the issue is, how can we stop this? Stopping this is creating, because CONAC's mission, I know CONAC's mission, they have their mission that align out. CONAC should start at the beginning of the problem, not at the end. Because more often than not, CONAC waits for tip-offs from people to say, okay, this thing is happening in my institution, they go and investigate. And when they investigate, they end at the investigation, they send it to the court, is the court to take a decision or not. I want to bring a glaring example that all of us know. In 2018 CONAC report, CONAC stated that Cameroon has lost 9.4 billion, and of the 9.4 billion that Cameroon lost, one city council was accused of, CONAC uses euphemism, was accused of managerial lapses that cost the country 9 billion. And behold, CONAC could not retrieve 9 billion.
Do you have the power to go for that money?
Let me finish.
Just 1 second. Then tell us when that your paper is just there. Just write that this is what happened and keep it in your drawers.
Okay, we don't keep the papers in the drawers. The annual reports are first submitted to the head of state. That you should know. We all know that it's a report that he has requested, and each year that report is done, he has a copy. And then, CONAC does not have the power. We are limited, as in, do this. We investigate, we come up with a report, and we give to you. Now we have other arms of government, the judiciary, that has to take care of, implementing, you have the findings. This is the report. Take action. It is not CONAC's responsibility. But it will be better if CONAC is given the power to go right to the end. That way with an autonomy.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to come in, because actually we realized that the same person who was a government delegate by then went for elections. He was even summoned to the Special Criminal Court, and he was supposed to come to the Special Criminal Court 3 days to elections. He did not come. He went for elections, won elections, and he's still...
Let's go back now to the question.
And today
how do we fight this? They just said it should be a collective responsibility.
A collective responsibility in that, because CONAC has a lot of notices they put everywhere. In all ministries, you have a department that is for CONAC, that fights corruption, anti-corruption in ministries. But here is where the problem is. The boss is there, who is the vote holder, and you are just appointed in that ministry into the anti-corruption department. Can you fight your boss?
Thank you. Now I'll come for you. I have a question for you. It concerns PTA. Everybody's raising it here. At times you have 3 children in an association and ask you to pay 5 children in school. They pay the PTA levy. Can we call it corruption? Can people call the office and complain? You take action.
In that case, it's not corruption. I think when they put the levy, personally, I think when they put a levy for each student, it doesn't matter if the school is made up of your household. Each student, I think it's just...
There's a law of association. You are there as a member of the parent teacher, is a parent who is a member, and paying the PTA for the child or children.
No, I think it's paid per student. The PTA is paid per student, not per parent.
Okay, we shall verify that.
Yes, she just talked about their limitations in terms of fighting corruption. I think what the powers that be should do, they should try to empower CONAC. When we look at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Nigeria, they have the power to investigate and prosecute. But in this case, they investigate, and then it's another organ that has to take up the matter. So their role ends at that level. I think what we should be thinking about is a kind of legislation which will give CONAC the powers to carry out the process from the beginning to the end, because when they just investigate and hand to the judiciary, they don't know what will be the end of that case.
They're exposed. Just for investigating, they're being exposed because they don't have any other arm that can defend them. They expose people, and the people threaten them. When you talk about threats, we understand what it means. The mere fact that you publish a report and you cite people's name, and that it ends at that level, the same people go ahead in the courts, because when they embezzle big, they qualify big. They go into the courts.
What do you think should be done to fight corruption, Mr. Principal?
Well, just to add to what they have said, CONAC does not only need to be empowered, it also needs to be protected. All the threats we are talking about, if they don't have protection, then their life, they are in danger. But all what we have said here, if we don't invest in education, we are wasting our time. The moral decadence we have in our society is because of the educational system that we have. We educate only the heart, the head rather. We don't educate the heart. That is why in my school, purpose-driven, leadership Anglo-Saxon academic complex, Fcfa, we talk a lot about a combination of fact and fancy in education, a combination of education of the head and education of the heart. If you educate only the head, at the end you find people who are knowledgeable, but they end up becoming what I usually term civilized demons. In our educational system, what we do is that if you are made minister tomorrow, think of a legacy to leave behind. Life is not all about money, embezzling, swindling, and then at the end, you don't even enjoy the wealth. So we need to combine education of the head and education of the heart.
We have to move to the second topic. We are giving 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. See, what I know in Cameroon about the fight against corruption is like, and let me put it in a graphic situation. You have a bag of groundnut, you keep it, and you see a rat jump into the bag of groundnut. You go outside and look for a stick and sit near the bag of groundnut. Say, finish it, you will. When the rat finishes the bag of groundnut, you kill it. You don't have the groundnut, you cannot even eat the rat. The rat becomes even an encumbrance to you. That is what is happening here, because they say, this minister is embezzling. They say, where are the proofs? They wait until he swindles all his budget, he's locked up. We don't have the money. The minister is not helpful.
Useful. Thank you. Miranda Atam is about CONAC. Please.
It's about CONAC. Let me say, like Hillary said, the campaign against corruption begins from the grassroots, and it's not only about the head, it's not about schools. And that is why at the start of this year, we have teams that have gone out to meet the people. CONAC has carried out integrity campaigns nationwide. It's about integrity. It's about instilling these core values in young people from the base. Know that right is right, wrong is wrong. Let's not get jeopardized. Let's not get mixed up. Let's not forgo the qualities that we have. And if we want a country that is better tomorrow, then it's about integrity now. And that is what CONAC is doing. Instilling integrity in the young ones. You see the chairman of CONAC from time to time. He goes to primary schools, secondary schools, universities. You've heard about integrity clubs in schools. You've heard about a back-to-school campaign. You've heard about other caravans and other sensitization, movements that are there to encourage people. And CONAC has empowered people. You have the 1517 call. Each Cameroonian is a stakeholder in the fight against corruption.
Call 1517.
Denounce and let CONAC do the rest. Let CONAC come in and do it. No, during working hours.
Okay, thank you.
During working hours.
Miranda, I want to thank you for coming to discuss this, and you're so passionate about that.
Thank you very much. Like I said, it's a cause now.
Now, officials from Cameroon and Nigeria have been meeting to see how to combat secessionist tendencies and crimes, transborder crimes between the two countries. Albert Njemode traveled to Nigeria with the Cameroon Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, who was leading a Cameroon delegation to those talks. Albert Njemode's report.
These are videos commented the world over. Videos of a Sodo general, separatist and arms trafficker arrested in Nigeria's Cross River State thanks to security cooperation between Cameroon and Nigeria. With the recommitment of the two countries expressed in Nigeria, Yaoundé and Abuja have set a stage of trust and confidence to eradicate all separatist and jihadist activities that threaten their sovereignty.
His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari reassures you that Nigeria's territory will never be used as a haven or staging area by any group of secessionists to destabilize another friendly sovereign country.
The country's contiguous governors have committed themselves to continue with the momentum set by Presidents Paul Biya and Muhammadu Buhari by ensuring greater synergy in the sharing of intelligence, cross-border patrols, and the provision of social amenities for border communities and refugees, amongst others.
The Nigerian governors have distinguished between those who are hiding under the umbrella of refugees to undertake terrorist activities, robbery activities across the border.
It is the mastery of the transporter insecurity, that will allow our population, even Nigerian population, to benefit from those infrastructure.
We also looked at the issue of trying to establish the local bilateral security committee. This would bring about a kind of interpersonal relationship within these two countries, especially at the local level.
Their actions on the ground are to ensure a one Cameroon, one Nigeria.
We've been joined now by Kenan David, who's a conflict resolution researcher from the University of Boya, PhD student, if I'm not mistaken. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
When you followed that report that Cameroon and Nigeria are joining to fight terrorism and separatists, what is your reaction?
Okay, before I step into that, please permit me just throw a word or two about the first topic.
Corruption. I know it touches everybody.
It touches
please
everybody.
Do it quickly because we don't have much time.
I usually see CONAC like what I usually tell my students, that it's just like a farmer that cultivates crop and then you can put maybe African traditional medicine on one hand and then you put the Bible on the other hand. It is quite certain that the area where you have the Bible, people will come and steal it, and the area where you have traditional medicine, nobody will go there. So CONAC really needs to be given that sanctioning power. And another thing I noticed is people are talking more about sensitization, education. Yeah, it is a collective responsibility, but we forget about one aspect: socialization. Education starts at home. That's just clear. If you have parents that don't bring up their children to get to understand that they need to walk before they eat, it is but obvious that no matter what CONAC we do, we'll keep blaming CONAC.
Okay, let's continue with our topic.
So coming now to our topic, it's true. When we're talking about the meeting that just took place between Cameroon and Nigeria, in other words, the agreement, it should take us to the context. We are very aware of the fact that this is something that started since 2012, when Boko Haram was destroying these different parts of the country. You get to discover that it is just a continuation of what they already started. And from the local man's understanding, any institutional response that you bring into something adds a plus towards providing solutions to that problem. But as to how effective that is, I think is what we are going to see as
okay.
program.
Lucas, you have been following up from here. I know you are very much involved with this topic.
Yes, you see, Cameroon and Nigeria share a border of 1,975 kilometers from the triple point of Chad right to the south in the Atlantic Ocean. So they have common problems to sort out. They are bound to work in synergy to sort out these problems. And as you were saying, Buhari and they created this commission, the Cameroon-Nigeria Transborder Commission in 2012. They've held eight sessions. The last session was held here in last year. The seventh session was held last year. And what I realized, because I participated in that session, what I realized that the two countries are bent on eradicating transborder crimes, because they realize that guys come to Cameroon, they operate there. Since Cameroon and Nigeria did not have any agreement, any legal agreement that could permit Cameroonians to follow
hot pursuit.
Yes, pursue those guys right to Nigeria. The guys will come and operate in Cameroon, and they take Nigeria as their hiding place, or operate in Nigeria, and they take Cameroon as their hiding place. But the two countries now have decided that they have to fight this. No more movement of suspicious persons, no more movement of suspicious goods between the two countries. So to me, it is a plus. A plus because more often than not, just sitting together to talk about our common problems is already a solution to.
Okay, Samson Websey, let's get into a casket like specialists in peace journalism. Would you think that the groups, the armed groups, the rebels, they should start revising their strategy now because Nigeria and Cameroon are behind them?
Well, Moki, before I answer your question directly, I want to say that the collaboration, that is the security collaboration between Cameroon and Nigeria, is a long one. You remember that when we were having piracy at sea, Cameroon and Nigeria were operating, they were carrying out joint operations to fight piracy. That was more or less...
During the Biafran War also?
Yes, that was much earlier. So we had this piracy, I think it was around the 90s. The collaboration started from then and continued with the fight against Boko Haram in the far north through the multinational joint task force. But I don't know how Cameroon and Nigeria are going to handle the challenge because it goes across Africa. We are operating within a context where Africa is flooded with weapons. There are researchers who have estimated at 30 million the number of small arms that are in hands that they don't know. In Cameroon alone, we are talking of a figure of about 120,000. All these arms, I don't want to believe they are only coming from the border between Cameroon and Nigeria. Before we had this separatist or this problem in the northwest and southwest regions, we already had conflicts in the Central African Republic, in Chad. Then we had Libya. Sudan. Arms flooded from all of those countries, and we are like sitting in an environment we don't know the exact number of arms that we have. Talking about Cameroon and Nigeria fighting this phenomenon, he talked about a border that is over 1,900 kilometers long.
Yes.
We should be talking of thousands of border crossings. Footpaths.
There are 250 unrecognized footpaths.
You are talking of only in the northern part of the country.
Yes.
Now, when we come further down, we should be talking in terms of hundreds and thousands of border crossings. So it's a big challenge for the two countries to think that that is the only way to handle this. I don't know. It is certainly going to have an impact on cross-border traffic in arms between the separatist group. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
But how significant is that impact going to be?
Hilary, do you think it's a good move and it will really stop the fighting?
To me, it is not a good move at all. I think what we should be talking about here is that going to help solve the political problem that we have? Nigeria has been combating Boko Haram for donkey years, but has woefully failed. And now they are talking of combating Cameroon too. This is a political problem that needs a political solution. So this is going to aggravate the situation even further. But it is going to have little or no impact, in my opinion, because the Amber Boys, for instance, already have the ability to fabricate weapons of their own. We know about that. We have seen ammo cars that are ravaged with locally made explosives. So this is going to have little or no impact.
With the material brought in through Nigeria, we saw the arrest.
It wasn't brought out. It wasn't brought in through Nigeria. These guys have the ability to produce weapons of their own. So Nigeria blocking its border, and I even wonder how effective, how capable they are of doing that, it is going to have little or no impact. But I have this one message, which I always give for the government of Cameroon, for the Nigerian government, and for every other government that behaves in the same way. It is a metonymy, which I use consistently and persistently, even in my school where I'm principal, Leadership Anglo-Saxon College, Fcfa. What is it all about? The pen is mightier than the sword. Yeah, until Yaoundé understands this, they will just be playing to the gallery, and the situation will get worse and worse and worse. The pen is mightier than the sword in the sense that using knowledge, using dialogue to handle situations is far more effective than the use of force.
Now,
you don't have to be using the military to solve a political problem. Sit down and dialogue with them. Use your head. Don't use force. It is not bra, 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 if I'm to use that onomatopoeia.
I think we're not coming back to the issue of dialogue. We've discussed that several times here, and dialogue is going on from what Cameroon says. But
it depends on the type of dialogue.
You just came now. You ended by saying that, by asking if this newfound collaboration between Cameroon and Nigeria will really solve the problem. Do you think it will solve the problem?
I don't. To an extent, it will not completely wipe out the problem, but it is adding a plus. Let's be sincere about this. I take a very simple example. With these cooperation ties, you get to discover that from a geostrategic standpoint, the military will be well equipped to collaborate with the persons and see how the borders can even circulate a bit. And when we talk about the possibility for the borders to circulate under control, we're talking about goods moving left and right. We're talking about providing employment. Let's not limit the commission to just what is happening in the two English regions. The commission goes right up to what is taking place even in the extreme north. And we know that one of the main causes of Boko Haram is poverty. So just the commission creating a possibility where people can circulate with goods left and right freely and they are protected, it will go a long way to provide jobs to many, and by so doing might reduce the number of those who are tempted to engage in the activities of Boko Haram. Though we know very well that it is more of a psychological something, more of an ideological problem, which will remain. Something like the Transborder Commission cannot handle that aspect if we don't go down to now start looking at the root causes of the problem. But for now, the little step they've taken, we can at least appreciate that little step and now ask for more, like Oliver Twist, because we know there is a necessity for more to come in. It is not only about the commission itself, it's about all peace lovers. From journalists, teachers, all of us, we need to put in our own small contribution.
I remember you had a meeting during the week to talk about this in your
we were together with my elder man seated here, and we were really trying to see the role media plays.
Who are the we you're talking about?
The role media plays in trying to minimize the consequences of this conflict. If we are talking about the negative consequences, we've gone beyond that stage where the media plays the classical role that will know, entertain, educate, and inform. Yeah, they educate, they inform, but they need to go beyond that, and that is what we were saying. The media can contribute to shaping the agenda, pushing these people, like he was saying, it's a political crisis. We see the media coming up, and they need to continue pushing it. That is what we were doing, Media for Peace and Justice. They push the people to talk, and they provide solutions.
The Bar Council in Nigeria is raising worries already. What they're trying to say is that some of the suspects in this crisis were illegally exchanged or brought to Cameroon. And but Cameroon and Nigeria are still insisting that they will continue.
Yeah,
what's the about that?
Yeah, I've read about it. The Nigerian bar is saying that those who are arrested and brought to Cameroon, I don't want to use the word extradite because the Nigerian bar doesn't want to hear about that word because they say there's no treaty between Cameroon and Nigeria that permits people to go through extradition. But the issue is that Buhari, remember, Buhari is a civilian president, but remember that Buhari was a military man. And when, this is inside information, when videos were shown how military people were executed, when those people were arrested, they said, no, military people being executed, this means this is no longer something that we have to start thinking about treaties. They should send them to Nigeria. And let me come back now to what had just recently happened. You see, we say this might not happen, but I think this is going to help a lot because there have been, you see, most of the Cameroonians who are even in the diaspora, they don't send arms directly to Cameroon. They send arms to Nigeria, and they now cross to Cameroon. So now, there are around 3 or 5 of them now who are being tried in the American courts. That is not even the issue. The issue now is war is always funded with money or with arms. If they stop the prohibition of arms, it will reduce the disastrous consequences of the war. If they stop, because you know when the Cameroon delegation went to Nigeria, Cameroon delegation went, it was a powerful delegation that had even the director of custom, the director of ANIF, and the director of ANO, because they wanted to see how money. Because you know the guys created a cryptocurrency that we call Amber, this thing. How money was changing? Because if you cannot fund even to fabricate the local explosives, if you don't have money to buy what it takes, it reduces their activity. So I think actually the Cameroon, Nigeria joint security, transborder joint security meeting has gone a long way, and we can even say it is signaling the beginning of the end.
Now let's get reactions that have been coming into our social media platforms. Fcfa, you've been reading through.
Yes, Moki, Edwin, we have quite a good number of reactions, but we're going to take a few and summarize many. Prince Mutabeme Obisa Mudika says corruption in competitive exams is becoming a norm based on the fact that most students believe that they must have money to succeed in certain exams. Ibrahim Usman says it's always said that the person who grows with a lion can never be frightened by a dog, and corruption in competitive exams can only be eradicated by CONAC if those found at the apex of the deal are identified and sanctioned seriously. Edel says CONAC has been doing a commendable job, but corruption in public exams continue to be perpetrated by politicians and the rich who pay money to secure positions for their relatives, and let the study of files constitute a higher percentage, and our schools and universities have already trained candidates on why entrance exams. And the program is actually live on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube account, CITV Web, and we're going to continue monitoring more comments.
Before you leave, people have been complaining that they don't see the online version to start reacting. What has been happening of recent? There are complaints we have here.
The program is actually live as we speak on our Facebook page.
Normally before the program comes, 3 or 4 days before, there is an advert, people start sending their comments. What has been happening to that?
Well, the advert is generally on. Maybe we'll have to increase the scope on which we share it so that more and more people have the chance of receiving it. We will now proceed to sharing it even in WhatsApp groups so that everybody can have the chance of receiving the advert before the program.
Thank you, Elvis. Now, we have barely 4 minutes to be together. I would like that we share the time equally as a point of conclusion on 45 seconds each, please, on the Cameroon-Nigeria Joint Commission. We'll start with you, Mboel.
Well, I think the solution coming together between Cameroon and Nigeria is just natural since Biafra and Ambas have come together. The Nigerian government knows that if one of the sides has independence, it will be to their own detriment. Likewise, the Cameroon government. So it's just natural for them to come together, but this is not going to solve any problem. Ask the Eritreans, they will tell you. The Ethiopians, they will tell you. Ask the Sudanese, they will tell you. Ask many other countries in the world that ended up separate, being torn apart. They will tell you. Okay. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The truth is that when something is an ideology and you are only trying to use force. A short while ago, my brother...
40 seconds over?
Yeah.
We may be interrupted. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sorry. Okay, take 5 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, President Buhari was a military man. He was trained as a general, so he doesn't believe in the use of the pen to solve problems. He believes only in the use of force, and that's going to worsen the situation, and there will be no solution.
Moki, I think over and above what we've said about the Cameroon-Nigeria Joint Commission, I think we should be realistic to already start changing the narrative about this conflict in the Northwest and Southwest. Even the framing by the media, because the way we've reported the conflict is that it will be solved by the military. I think we should already be changing that narrative, because the best way of solving a conflict is that is a non-violent approach to conflict resolution. Peace by peaceful means. It englobes so many things that is you need to at some point negotiate, because the longer it drags on, the consequences become more and more for all the parties that are involved in the conflict, and at the end of the day, no matter what happens, you will always come back to a negotiation table. So the earlier we opt to go in for a negotiation, the better.
Yeah, I think Mr. Webster have just said it all. It will not only take the Cameroon government or the commission, it needs all of us. At DeFi Head now, we believe collective solutions are preferable. Give them pens and not guns. We think that can really work. Bring everybody on board, the civil society, the journalists, the teachers, our parents. Everybody has a particular role to play, and that is what we were telling journalists during our DeFi Head training. For we choose to be a solution to the problem and not a problem to the possible solution.
Lucas now.
Yeah, I will end it with a quote from Benjamin Franklin, who says that justice will never be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are. I don't want to elaborate on this, but you know what I mean. Let those who are unaffected by the crisis be outraged as those who are affected. The justice will be served.
Sure.
That is where we end today's edition of Press on CRTV, an edition in which we discuss corruption and we look at what CONAC is doing to stop the hydra that is in schools in the country. We also had the Cameroon-Nigeria joint security meeting, and we're asking if we can deter the separatist fighters from struggling to create independent states, both in Nigeria and in Cameroon. Our guests were Samson Webster, senior journalist, specialist in peace journalism. We had Kinang Derrick, conflict resolution researcher from University of Boya. Miranda Atam, journalist, senior support staff at CONAC. Tenen Lucas, journalist and publisher of the Reporter newspaper. And Buell Hillary, who is a teacher and a principal at Leadership Anglo-Saxon College here at Fcfa in the nation's capital. I am Moki Edwin Kinzikai Yaounde. Thank you for watching.